Hey Sigmas, there's a kind of power that's silent, subtle, and utterly disruptive, the power of the man who blends into the background yet leaves an indelible mark. He moves like a shadow, watches like an observer, and leaves without a trace. That's the Sigma male. He doesn't seek approval, doesn't follow the pack, and doesn't waste time explaining himself. And that's exactly what makes him so unsettling. The truth is, people are hardwired to fear what they don't understand. And that's why Sigmas send a chill down the spine. They're neither followers nor leaders, not aggressive nor passive. They simply exist outside the norms that everyone else abides by. This makes them unpredictable, almost ghost-like. They disrupt the social order without even trying, leaving people bewildered, questioning their own reactions, and often deeply insecure. The most unsettling part: Sigmas don't even realize the impact they have. They don't try to make waves, they just are. If you've ever met a Sigma male and walked away feeling uneasy, trust me, it wasn't by chance. Get ready to discover why their quiet presence is often the most powerful force in the room. Let's dive in. Number 1. You exude an aura of mystery. Sigmas operate differently from the average person. While most people eagerly share their thoughts, experiences, and emotions, often in an attempt to seek validation or approval, you remain an enigma. You don't feel the need to broadcast your life story, nor do you crave external reassurance. This isn't about being secretive. It's about understanding the value of privacy and self-sufficiency. This taps into a well-known psychological phenomenon: the less is more effect. Studies show that when people are given limited information about someone, their curiosity skyrockets. The brain naturally wants to fill in the gaps, making the unknown more intriguing than what is openly revealed. When you withhold unnecessary details, people become invested in figuring you out. Women in particular are wired to be drawn to mystery. Evolutionary psychology suggests that unpredictability activates the brain's reward system. This is why over-explaining or oversharing can actually reduce attraction. When everything is laid out too soon, there's no intrigue, no challenge. But with you, people don't know what's going on in your mind, and that unsettles them. They're used to dealing with men who seek attention and validation. Your silence breaks that pattern, making you stand out without even trying. And that's the power of being a Sigma. You don't force your presence, you become unforgettable simply by being selective with your words, controlled with your energy, and intentional with what you share. The less they know, the more they need to know. Number 2, you make decisions without seeking approval. Most people hesitate before making decisions, always seeking validation from others. They second-guess themselves, wondering if they're making the right choice, fearing judgment, or waiting for someone to. But a Sigma male, you don't wait for approval. You trust yourself, you decide, and you act. This is known as self-determination theory, a psychological concept stating that people who possess high levels of autonomy, those who operate from internal motivation rather than external approval, are perceived as more competent, confident, and attractive. Your ability to move with certainty sends a powerful message. You are in control of your own destiny. This kind of self-sufficiency can be intimidating. People who rely on external validation often feel unsettled around someone who doesn't need it. They don't understand how you can function without constantly seeking feedback. It challenges their worldview, making them question their own insecurities. This is why a Sigma's presence can make others uncomfortable, because your independence exposes. For women, this is especially intriguing. Confidence, decisiveness, and self-assurance are universally attractive traits. When a man doesn't hesitate, doesn't need permission, and doesn't doubt himself, it signals strength. Women subconsciously recognize this as a sign of high value. Most men look outward for direction. A Sigma looks inward. And in doing so, you set yourself apart. You don't just exist, you move with purpose. And in a world full of uncertainty, that kind of certainty is rare, respected, and undeniably powerful. Number 3, you can read people like an open book. A Sigma doesn't just hear words, he deciphers them. While most people listen at surface level, you absorb everything. Body language, tone shifts, micro-expressions, and subtle cues that others overlook. This isn't a learned skill. It's an instinct honed through years of observation and independence. This ability taps into cold reading, a psychological technique used by detectives, interrogators, and even mentalists to assess a person's true feelings and intentions without them saying a word. Research in nonverbal communication suggests that over 90% of human interaction is conveyed through body language, not speech. A quick glance, a slight hesitation, or a forced smile can reveal more than an entire conversation. People sense this awareness in you, and it unsettles them. Most individuals are used to hiding behind facades, exaggerating confidence, masking insecurities, or sugarcoating the truth. But around a Sigma, they realize none of that work. They feel exposed, as if their carefully constructed social persona has been stripped away. This creates a paradox. They are drawn to your perceptiveness, yet unnerved by it. This is why liars, manipulators, and attention seekers tend to avoid. They instinctively know they can't deceive you, and that scares them. But those who value honesty and depth, they respect you even more. A Sigma male forces people to reveal their authentic selves whether they're ready or not. And that's what makes you not just an observer, but a silent force that others can't ignore. Number 4. You are unshakably calm in intense situations. While most people panic under pressure, overreact to challenges, or let emotions control them, a Sigma male remains composed. This isn't because he's indifferent or detached. It's because he understands the power of emotional regulation. In psychology, this is known as emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, manage, and control emotions in high-stress situations. Studies have shown that individuals with high EQ are more successful, better leaders, and when chaos erupts, most people respond impulsively. Fear, frustration, or uncertainty cloud their judgment. But a Sigma, he stays grounded. This ability to remain calm under pressure creates a psychological shift in those around him. People begin to wonder, why isn't he reacting like everyone else? What does he know that we don't? This taps into the pratfall effect, a psychological phenomenon where those who appear unshaken or in control are seen as more competent, and it's the reason why leaders who exude calmness in crises inspire confidence, while those who overreact lose credibility. Women in particular are drawn to this trait. Studies in evolutionary psychology suggest that stability and emotional control signal strength and reliability, key factors in attraction. When a Sigma refuses to be rattled, it conveys an unspoken message. I can handle pressure. I can handle life. And I don't need external validation to stay in control. In a world that thrives on drama and emotional outbursts, your calmness becomes a silent form of dominance. People respect it, women admire it, and those who lack it, they fear it. Number 5. You challenge norms without trying. Sigmas don't follow trends, and that alone sets them apart. In a world where most people seek validation through conformity, wearing the latest styles, echoing popular opinions, and molding themselves to fit in, you remain untouched by the need for external approval. Instead, you think for yourself, act on your own terms, and question everything. This mindset aligns with independent thinking, a psychological trait found in leaders, innovators, and revolutionaries. Studies show that most people are wired to conform due to social proof, a cognitive bias, where individuals assume the majority must be right. Sigmas, however, operate differently. You challenge traditions, question authority, and refuse to engage in meaningless social rituals simply because they're expected. This makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability creates intrigue. But not everyone admires independent thinkers. Your refusal to conform threatens those who have built their identities around following the crowd. You serve as living proof that one can exist outside societal norms, and that realization makes people uncomfortable. They see your self-sufficiency and recognize their own dependence on validation. But instead of embracing change, most choose to remain in their comfort zones. This is why Sigmas often face resistance. You don't just break free, you remind others that they could too. But breaking free requires courage, and not everyone is willing to take that leap. In a world where most seek safety in numbers, your ability to stand alone isn't just rare, it's powerful. And power, especially when it's quiet and self-contained, always commands respect. Number 6. You make people reflect on themselves. Your presence alone has an effect most people don't expect. It forces them to reflect not on you, but on themselves. While the average person is busy seeking approval, chasing validation, and conforming to societal expectations, you operate on a different wavelength. You focus on mastering yourself, refining your skills, and moving through life with quiet confidence. And when people witness that, it unsettles them. This reaction is deeply rooted in psychology. Social comparison theory proposed by psychologist Leon Festinger explains that people evaluate themselves based on those around them. When they encounter someone who is truly self-sufficient, someone who doesn't seek validation or follow the crowd, it creates an internal conflict. It forces them to acknowledge their own insecurities, their fears, their dependency on external approval, their inability. Most people avoid this kind of deep self-reflection. They prefer distractions, social media trends, groupthink, to avoid facing their own shortcomings. But a Sigma doesn't give them that luxury. Your independence, your ability to thrive in solitude, and your refusal to conform serve as a mirror. People either respect it or resent it. That's why your presence is so powerful. It doesn't just make an impression, it challenges the very foundation of how others perceive themselves. Some will admire it, seeking to learn from you. Others will feel threatened, projecting their insecurities onto you. But either way, your existence alone is a statement, and that is what sets you apart. Number 7. You don't respond to manipulation. Ever noticed how manipulators back off when they realize you're not an easy target? That's not a coincidence. It's psychology at work. Manipulative people thrive on emotional influence, using guilt, fear, or obligation to control others. But a Sigma male, you don't play by those rules. This ties into the concept of psychological resistance, the natural pushback people experience when they sense someone trying to manipulate them. Studies in behavioral psychology show that independent thinkers are harder to control because they don't rely on external validation. When a manipulator encounters a Sigma, they quickly realize their usual tactics won't work. Emotional blackmail, guilt tripping, and power plays rely on a person's need for approval or fear of conflict. But a Sigma is immune to both. You don't seek validation, and you certainly don't fear standing alone. This makes manipulators uncomfortable because their strategies depend on emotional reactions. If they can't provoke you, they can't control you. This lack of control breeds frustration, which often turns into fear. People fear what they can't predict or influence. When someone realizes they can't manipulate you, their instinct is either to retreat or to try harder, only to fail. That's why Sigmas often find that toxic individuals either disappear from their lives or become obsessed with trying to break their emotional armor. Your strength lies in your detachment. By refusing to engage in manipulative games, you expose them for what they are: desperate attempts to control those who don't know their worth. But you do. And that makes you untouchable. Number 8, you disappear and reappear on your own terms. You don't owe the world constant access to you. Unlike most people who feel the need to be always available, constantly responding to messages, updating their whereabouts, and seeking validation, you operate differently. You understand the value of solitude. When you need time to recharge, you take it unapologetically. And when you return, you do so with a renewed sense of purpose and energy. This unpredictability creates intrigue. Studies in psychology show that uncertainty increases attraction, a concept known as the intermittent reinforcement effect. When people don't know when they'll hear from you or what you'll do next, their minds remain engaged, constantly seeking patterns that don't exist. This is why unpredictability is a powerful psychological tool. It keeps people invested, curious, and in some cases even obsessed. Women in particular are wired to be drawn to mystery. The brain craves closure, and when it doesn't get it, it fixates on the unknown. Unlike other men who lay all their cards on the table, you keep a few up your sleeve. This isn't manipulation, self-possession. You move on your own time at your own pace without feeling pressured to explain yourself. But this unpredictability does more than just create attraction. It establishes respect. People know they can't control or manipulate you because you are not easily influenced. They don't know what you're thinking or what your next move will be, and that makes them uneasy. Not because you're dangerous, but because they can't put you in a predictable, and that is where your power lies. A Sigma isn't just mysterious for the sake of it. He understands the strategic advantage of keeping people guessing. In a world where most are desperate for attention, you remain a challenge and enigma. And that's what keeps people coming back trying to figure you out, yet never fully succeeding. Sigmas, if this video resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe to join this community of men who refuse to be ordinary. Apply these truths, embrace your Sigma nature, and keep walking the path that only the chosen can.